Good evening. It's 8 o'clock in Istanbul and 6 o'clock in Berlin. We are live at our Zoom meeting room and at our YouTube channel. I would like to welcome all our attendees, our fellow academicians, our students, and professionals from the field, and those who are related or not, but interested in the topic. And before I welcome tonight's keynote speaker, Mr. Korinsky, I would like to give a brief explanation about what INDA is. INDA is an peer-reviewed e-journal published in Turkey, and it is the only peer-reviewed and internationally indexed e-journal in the field. And besides the fact that it's an e-journal, it's also a platform of actions and events, and due to that goal, tonight we are live at our online interviews. And also e-journal is published twice a year, and these online interviews are programmed to be twice a year. And at the first quarter of 2022, our first guest is Mr. Korinsky. Mr. Abel Korinsky, good evening and welcome to our online interviews. I think your microphone is off, Mr. Korinsky.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'd like to speak German, but I'm only allowed to speak Turkish or English tonight at our online interviews. And I don't know which language you prefer, me speaking.
So maybe it's better doing it in English.
Yes, it's better for us as well. Instead of, you speaking in Turkish, that will be better. How are you tonight?
Thanks, I'm fine. It's all good. Still winter. But I'm prepared for this talk.
Good. Actually, in winter, but Istanbul's winter doesn't count as a winter from a person who comes from Germany, as far as I'm informed.
I don't know. I mean, you also have snow here, so I would call it winter as well. As long as you don't have green trees in winter, it still counts as a winter.
Good. Okay. So, Mr. Korinsky, who is Abel Korinsky and why does he do what he does, please?
Yes. So just to introduce myself, I'm a media artist working in Studio Korinsky based in Berlin. And I'm working there since 2012 together with my twin brother Carlo, and collaborating a lot with other artists like dancers, other media artists, programmers, light artists, so a variety of fields. And why I do what I do, I think it's a good question. Let me explain how I got there. So it's I studied a variety of fields like sociology, history, German language, and music, the classical guitar, and my favorite was classical guitar. And I like to interpret music and also being creative from the beginning on. But after a while, it didn't feel like it would be enough for me. So I was more and more interested to express myself and to create something new. And that was the beginning. I got interested in all kind of new media, especially in sound, as I'm coming from the field of music. So it was very close to work with sound in the beginning. And in general, all kind of technology like hologram projectors, drones, sound specialization, motorization. And in the beginning, it was more driven by the interest of technology and doing immersive light sound installations. But in the last years, it got more and more in the direction of being conceptual based and getting more away from the fascination of working with sound and light and the power of it to work with relevant topics of our times. So that's how I got there, and that's why I do what I do. So I think it's connected to my biography.
You said relevant topics of our time, if I'm not wrong. What do you mean by that?
I mean, relevant topics of our times. We're living in times of like, I think, relevant global big topics as we are talking about environmental change. We're talking about, I mean, we just see it right now, war regions, especially, and how those wars are driven, and the way how drones or artificial intelligence can be maybe used in those kind of wars. So or in general, also artificial intelligence, a very important topic nowadays, and how it influences our world. So this is something which really interests me.
And since you mentioned the term and named your work as media arts, what are the distinctive features of media art when compared with other branches of contemporary art?
Yeah, this is a good question. To From my point of like media still of course there are some institutions with related to it, but in comparison to the usual contemporary art scene, art world, it's still a few. So if you are somehow in this kind of media art, you know each other, and yeah, it's a very close connection. And in this field of media art, I would say there are different areas where people are working on. There's this kind of people working mostly with like very aesthetically with light projections on facades. If we think of those events like Festival of Lights, so it's more like a projection of something beautiful on buildings like trees, flowers, messages. So this is also one part of the media art. And then there's this fluid transition of media art and science centers, so which also have the idea of maybe some educational background. And these are somehow fluid, this between science center, media art. But for me, I figured out in the last year, after experimenting with the fascinating tools of all those media art, virtual reality, projection, hacking, I think I got more and more interest to use media art to transfer highly abstract topics, which are maybe not easy to understand, into immersive artwork that people can get an own opinion about abstract topics, and can get an idea of what happens with technology and art around us. And I think this is the real power of media art, besides its educational function, that media art is able to transport relevant and abstract topics of our times into an artwork, and that it works on both levels. On a very aesthetic level, on the other side, it has a second layer of information and knowledge.
Yeah. And your last performance in Turkey, I think it was at Bilgi University. It was a group of artists, and you were there with one of your works. And I think it's been almost 3 years when you were here for the unification workshop. Right after your performance at Tophane Amire, another exhibition was at Haydarpaşa Harbor. It was named Yakamoz, if I'm not wrong, and it was another sound and light installation performance. It was supported by İKSV. Am I wrong?
Yes, no, not
Also
wrong.
by
You're right.
Goethe Institute and French Culture, I think, right?
True. I think there were some
Yeah.
other
So,
institutions involved.
and as we kept in touch, I know that there were many other excellent performances all around the world, and I know that there are many to come. So, would you please share some of those works or some of your works that even I don't know, and concepts and the contexts of those works so that we might understand much more better what is meant by the those relevant topics of today's of the actual world and media arts and the power of media arts. Would you please share some of your works,
Yeah,
please?
sure. So
You may share your screen. You have the authority.
yes, I
You
have
are the
the
co-host.
one moment. So now you can see my screen, right?
Yes, we do.
So yeah, just to start, that's me and my twin brother, me on the left side with the long hair and my twin brother. So that's how we usually work in our studio with, as I said, different collaborators, just depending on the needs, what we need. And
This guy is your twin brother, right?
right, this guy's my
So
twin
you
brother.
are Abel Korinsky, right? You are not his twin brother.
No. I
You are
hope.
Abel. Okay. Okay, good, good.
No, but in case of emergency, it's always very good to have somebody who can
Yeah, exactly.
play a role. So
But identically, it's exactly the same. That's why I needed to ask to be sure. That's why.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, true. I just want to share like three works from the beginning. This was in a former boiler room of a swimming pool. I started a lot with installations in spaces which are in use or which are maybe not in use anymore, but to get some kind of atmosphere into the spaces. This was a very relevant idea of creating atmospheres due to sound and light. And this was a boiler room where people could enter, and there were a lot of motorized lights going through this exhibition space, like searching for something and somehow measuring the architecture in a visual way. I have a short video of it, so you get an impression of it.
Mr. Korinsky, did you mute the video? Did you mute it? Because there are no sounds at all. Or is it muted already? I mean, in the original. Oh, okay.
Could you hear it? Or
I thought there was no sound. It was only in the beginning. There were no sounds. I mean, I didn't receive any sounds.
okay, there were sounds, so
There
it's
were. Yeah, I guessed so, but there were no sounds at all. Maybe in the next video. I don't know if there are any.
let's see. Let's see with the next video.
Okay. But
Um,
if you, I mean, in order to express the context, if you need to stream it with the sound, you may retry. It's okay with us. We have plenty of time.
no, it's fine. It's just to get an impression of it. It's just like the beginning of the works. This was another work, like testing out with tools. You see 4 barcode scanners, which are known from supermarkets, where you can scan the products. And they were interacting in space with the people. And as soon as people were passing by, they were reacting on the people and were scanning the people. And at the same time, on the right side, you see the projections of the laser of the barcode scanners. So this was tryouts with barcode scanners and how to use them and to hack them and to work a little bit on it. And afterwards, Right. This was an exhibition, and I think this was the first time when I was dealing with the idea of science and about topics of the universe. And it was about the sound of the Big Bang. And it was in collaboration with researchers in Melbourne and scientists. And it was about, it was 2014, and shortly before, scientists announced that they detected the sounds of the Big Bang. And the whole work was about what would be possible if you could hear sounds of the past until today. What would be, how would it change our world if we could hear sounds from 100 years ago? So just a very poetic idea about this. And it was space, and tried to sonificate the sound of the Big Bang, as it is very deep and not really possible. So it has to be transferred into another frequency. And it was dealing with the idea, as we, in the science we are talking about, the now and the present is like three.
Mr.
We are
Korinsky,
talking about
there was a
moment.
misconnection. Would you, Mr. Korinsky, there was a misconnection, I guess. Would you please repeat the last sentence that you said?
Yeah, the idea was about having the moment of now, which is in the science called like 3 seconds. Everything before is the past, and everything afterwards is the future. And it was dealing with the 3 seconds of the now. And in this moment, the lights turned off, and there was just a glowing sculpture in the middle of the room. But as I said, it somehow turned into another direction in the last years. It's more about human responsibility in technology. And this is a very interesting field for me. And I'm mostly working in this area, in this field.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Sorry. That the previous one, is that those 3 seconds, was that your choice, or did you incline those 3 seconds as now, or scientifically is it 3 seconds accepted as now?
Yeah, it's scientifically accepted as now. So
Okay.
I mean, it's hard to say, but this
It's
is
hard to say.
how.
There are lots of debates, like dividing 1 second into and dividing it into infinite division of the seconds. So there are no nows actually. There are some debates both in philosophical and physical debates. That's why I was wondering. But it's, and thank you.
Yes. There's a problem with the connection, I guess. Okay. Do you hear me again? Okay. I think there was a misconnection. Do you hear me again?
There was a misconnection. I'm truly sorry about it.
Okay.
Did you hear my last question? It was about the 3 seconds. So
Yes.
3 seconds is accepted as now scientifically.
Yeah, it's
Thank you very much.
I mean, there are different point of views. If you are talking with scientists from the field of astronomy, I mean, there doesn't exist any now. I mean, everything we are doing is already the past. So it depends on the field where you are, what you are talking about.
Okay.
So, but
Proceed. Keep on, please. Thank you. I'm
yeah.
sorry for interruption.
No, it's fine. No, but latest I got very interested in this field of human responsibility and technology, and this was what I was already a little bit talking in the beginning. It's about artificial intelligence. It's about satellite programs around the world. And it's about the question how we deal with it, and that we should be aware at least what is happening around us. And I just have a quote: "An intellectual says a simple thing in hard words, and an artist says a hard thing in a simple word." I think it's a very nice quote, and I think this is the power of art, that you can transfer complicated processes, complicated ideas into a feeling, into an emotion, that you just get an idea of it. I mean, as long as you don't experience things by yourself, it's maybe very abstract and very hard to get it and to face it. And one project was Orbital Swan Song. It's about the Starlink program from Elon Musk. I did it with in collaboration with a very good Turkish artist, Orhan. And it's about the Starlink program, which is sending satellites into the orbit. Here we see a satellite train, and Elon Musk and the Starlink company, they're sending each 2 weeks around 60 new satellites into the orbit. So they're surrounding us constantly. And it's 11,000 or around 12,000 satellites until 2027, and they applied for additional ones. And there are also other companies who are trying to develop a program about satellites. We're talking about Google, Amazon, and of course there are also private Chinese companies. And in the end, it's a question of common space. How, who owns the space? Is it fair that private companies like Starlink shooting 60 new satellites into orbit, and due to the solar panels, they're reflecting the light of the sun, and they change the appearance of the sky, and it's even getting hard to observe it. Connected to this, there's also this kind of Kessler syndrome, and it's just it's if one satellite destroys another one, it destroys a satellite into millions of small pieces. And in the 80s, they still painted satellites, and they don't do it anymore, because the problem was that the paint got off from the satellites, and small nanoparticles, and they are having a speed over many 10,000 kilometers per hour. If one nanoparticle crashes with another satellite, it can destroy the whole satellite in million small pieces. And the chance that they hit each other is not very high, as it is a very big space, but the chance gets higher and higher. And as soon as it starts this chain reaction, there's a huge chance that it really litters our sky, and that there will be no way to get into it anymore after a while.
Mr. Korinsky, I'm sorry for interruption, but there was a misconnection again, so I need to repeat one thing as far as I understood. So you're saying that there are too many, like 20,000 already, 20,000, more than 20,000 satellites around our planet Earth, right? Am I right?
It's planned until 2027.
It's planned until 2027. Okay.
Yeah.
And there is a danger that those satellites, the very first satellites that were initialized at 1980s, so due to the old technology, even a small particle of the paint or the overcoating of those satellites, if it spreads, due to the fact that they are now moving around 40,000 kilometers per hour, they can destroy themselves, right?
Yes,
And it can
that's
start a
right.
chain reaction, so they can destroy them all.
Yeah, what means all? But I mean, the more particles are surrounding are in space, the more the possibility that they destroy something. So it's this is the Kessler syndrome talking about this possibility
Okay.
of this chain reaction.
Okay.
As you can,
And your work is about these satellites, and it demonstrates or what's like a small simulation of those satellites. What is that?
yes. The artwork is a simulation about the satellites surrounding us.
Mhm.
And there are various forms of it. Like one is a projection, one is this is a digital format. I have video, so it's a website where people can choose a location, and then they will
Is
see.
this real, Mr.
This
Prince?
is yes, yes.
The
This is in
real
real
photo
time.
of those satellites around our Earth, right?
Yes, right.
It's
This
horrible.
is yeah, this is a website where people can type in their city, and then they see from their location how the satellites move above their space. This is a video. I want to show it shortly,
Please.
so you get an understanding of it.
So this is right now in Istanbul, over Istanbul, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
if we had a telescope and looking right upwards from Istanbul to the sky, we would see these satellites, right? These movements, real time.
Yes. This is in real time, and you can see the satellites. So the moving ones are usually the internet satellites, and uh, yeah, other ones are like for television. Those ones who are stable, they look like stars, but they are
They
just
look like
moving with
stars.
the speed of the. They're no stars. They're just moving with the speed of the Earth. So they seem to be located in one spot and don't move, but in fact they move.
So would you please
So
share the link so that the attendees right now or after the interview or when they watch it in the YouTube and like 2 days later, 3 days later, they may be able to see what's going on around the world
yes, I
real time.
will. I will share it in a second after I finish
Okay. Okay, thank you.
this presentation. Another work was this was in a gallery, and the satellites were projected on the floor. It was in Tehran, and so people could see the names of the satellites and how they were flying. So it was instead of up, it was just projected on the ground, so they could see in real time the satellite flying at their location.
What was that? Those two things, they hit each other?
So, right. This was a projection on the floor, and I have another short video of a satellite work, which where the satellites were projected in the grid of light bulbs above the heads of the audience. So it consisted of 120 something light bulbs, and we projected the satellites moving above the space in real time into the light bulbs. It's a very short video. I just showed. Yeah. So just an impression. So it's a work about satellites, and in three different forms. One is the digital form with a website. I will put the link into the chat function. Another one was like projecting it, and the other one is mapping them on the grid of light bulbs. And there will be exhibition of this satellite work as well here in Istanbul in middle of April. And there we will connect the different forms of the work I showed in Bulgaria, Slovakia, I don't know where else, Tehran. It will be shown at Gazhane Museum in Istanbul, and it will be connected to another work of a very good friend. Just wanted to show it, how the media art world is connected. It's another artist who has like a split flip display, and all the information of the satellites will be shown on this split flip display. I have a short video of it. So as you can see, it's still in production. So it will be ready until 15th of April, and will be connected to the satellite work, and will be part of it. And so information will be shown on another form of artwork presentation.
Congratulations, brilliant. And as before you move to the other one, I think there was the ones with the bulbs. It was like the grid of satellites, which is intended to be done by the Starlink, the Elon Musk's company, like a grid of satellites around the world.
Right. Right. If we are talking about Starlink, the idea is of having a grid of satellites, and right, and that's the connection to it. But I mean, it's the important thing is that that people should get an own idea about it.
Okay,
if we are talking about if we are talking not about this. If we are talking about satellite, maybe what's important to say is like, in my point of view, it's somehow said that it's changing our view into the sky, and maybe steals our idea of the romantic sky, and seeing the stars and navigate through the stars and this old tradition. But on the other way, I mean, we just saw it, I think 3 days ago, where Starlink was, where Elon Musk make it free to use in Ukraine. So people can use, due to the Starlink satellites, internet without having infrastructure in the country itself. So in this case, it's very helpful. But I don't know how many other situations will come up, which where we can say
only Elon Musk lets them to use.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
if there is a war between Ukraine and Elon Musk himself,
yeah,
there will be no access to internet.
True. Yeah. But I mean, I just want to open up that.
Yeah, okay. There's a debate. Okay.
For, you know, like,
of course. Yeah.
Many sides.
Yes, please. I'm sorry for the interruption. Please keep on.
If you are running out of time, you have to tell me.
No. We have 25 minutes more.
Okay. I just want to shortly present 2 other projects. One is called The Shadow, and it's about unpredictable strikes of drones and so-called signature strikes. They're happening in the Middle East, some parts of Africa, and it's signed by already by the government of Obama, that by checklist people can be killed by drones because they're suspected to be terrorists. Like if they have a long beard, if they have I don't know, let's say something on the back which looks like a weapon. So I mean, this checklist isn't official, so nobody knows what are the relevant criteria. But this checklist exists. It's that's for sure, and they kill people by drones flying in those countries and killing by criteria.
So,
We take
sorry to interrupt again, but just an explanation to make it clear for the Turkish attendees and audience. In Turkish, it's called poshi. I mean, it's in the eastern area or southeast area of Turkey, mostly used by, I mean, it's a traditional clothing. That's why we need to use that explanation. It's like mostly used by Kurdish people. So if you have this cloth on your head, and if you have even a branch of a tree or a stick behind your neck, and if you have a beard, you are free to be killed, right? They have the authority to kill you, those machines, right?
yes, it's we are not aware about which criteria if it's exactly like this, but there exist some, and if they fit to a person, they can be killed without any
Questions, nothing.
question. So it's
Just shooting, right?
yeah, and we just take the idea and working on drones. Also together with Orhan, with whom I did the satellite project. And the drones are equipped with laser beams, and there will be people tracked in the space. So we already have this kind of tracking system. And if they fulfill specific criteria, the drone adjusts to the person and points a laser beam to the forehead. So this
It's
is
like a simulation, of like a rifle with the laser. So any moment you may be shooted, right? It
right.
gives you the emotion. Okay.
Right. So this is still in production. Will be shown in autumn in Boston. So we have to work a lot on it. So
In Boston, in United States.
yeah. Right.
So you are criticizing United States for this behavior, and they let you do this exhibition in United States.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the government who allows it. It's a museum,
yeah.
so
Okay.
they want to present it.
That's
This is
democracy.
somehow just the idea of how it works, how they're connected. So, of course, they're also communicating with the satellites and GPS satellites. So some are also linked to the satellite work from before. That's how we also got there. This is the beginning stage of building our own drone. In the end, it will be a bigger one, but just to work on the drone, and we build it by our own, so with our own software, to be independent and to use it how we want and to navigate it in a space. So this is our workshop, so for trying it out. And there's another exhibition coming up. It will be a wheat field shown in end of May in Korea, in Seoul. And it's about the importance of nature and the link between technology and nature. And it's a transfer from natural movements of wind going through a wheat field into something super technical, so in some kind of artificial intelligence. So transferring natural movements into mechanics, techniques, whatever. This field is just also under production, so we are working on it as well. This is just the rendering how it will look in the end. Yes. So this will be shown in Korea then. So that's just a short introduction of the works and the works which are in progress. So I think it's maybe important to see what's
Marvelous.
coming up.
Thank you very much for sharing those with us. It was also enlightening and lots of ideas to come, for sure. But even those that have already been done gave us lots of, open doors. And art, of course, clearly has a future that will continue in branching into new forms and including continuing to integrate new technologies, of course. Both virtual reality and augmented reality offer excellent ways to create immersive works. Those works, the viewer can experience the artwork utilizing a headset or like a phone or like an Google something. But your works, I mean all of your works, seem much more of a limp-free or gadget-free, like limp device, I may say, a device that is like a limp of our bodies. So it's like a limp device-free or limp gadget-free, I may say. Even though your works refer to technological, interventions in our environment, they still remain like being a part of the classical art affairs. I think you still believe in a human physical interaction at your works, and if this, impression of mine is true, why is that so? If not, why is not so, please? Do you want me to repeat my question?
No, no, I got it. It's no, it's you just described it well, and I mean the wonderful thing is of art is that you doesn't need to be objective and just do what you want, just following your own criteria. For me myself, I like to encounter artworks without any gadget. So I want to get into immersive world, and if I always have gadgets with me, I always feel remembered of technology surrounding me. So, for example, also if I do sound works, I don't like headphones, as I personally also don't like putting on headphones in exhibitions which were used by 100 other visitors before. So I usually go with solutions which have the same function. For example, if I want to have the effect of headphones, I would rather prefer going with ultrasonic loudspeakers who are having the same effect. Ultrasonic loudspeakers, they are like a laser point, like a beam of sound, but just on a specific point. If you're standing beside of it, you don't hear it anymore. So it's the same effect of headphones, but you don't have something on your ear. So this is how I prefer having it, and I like to be free of any gadgets and not want to have it in my hands when entering or encountering a art world. Maybe it always reminds me of connected being to real world, and if I get into artworks, I want to have this kind of magical feeling to be somewhere lost.
It's strange. I mean, nowadays, anyone who claims that they use technology, they are gadget surrounded or gadget tied, I may say. But your works remaining like a classical artworks, but human interaction, of course, but using also the high technology and actual contexts. I mean, it's not for me to congratulate you, but I must congratulate you for. And I have also one more question and thing to say, that the future, okay, it may be uncertain, but some things are undeniable, like climate change, like shifting demographics in like Syrians. They need to, I mean, they have to depart from their homelands, and geopolitics, they shift, things like that. And the only guarantee is that there will be changes for sure. I mean, they will be both wonderful or terrible. And it's worth considering how artists will respond to those changes, as well as what purpose art serves. now and in the future, of course. And are these works that you have shown a part of this responsibility that an artist should have, or are these responsibilities of an average individual that should have, and they are underlined by art? I mean, what is your work, and do you intend to do it significantly or by art, or those art works is a part of yourself feeling as an artist responsible for today's situations, like those shifting demographics, those shifting geopolitics, or the climate change, or those terrifying things that people could be shooted by just for their physical appearance?
Yes. Sorry, there was some kind of misconnection, but
There is a misconnection.
dealing with those topics, right?
Just on
Yeah.
Mr. Korinsky, there was a misconnection, so we also couldn't hear it. Could you get the question, or do you want me to repeat only the question part, maybe? Can you hear me? Mr. Korinsky, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. There was a misconnection, that's why. Do you want me to repeat the question, or could you hear the question?
I think I got the point.
Okay.
Do you hear me?
Yes, I do. I mean, I hope the audience also does.
I think I just was thinking about this today. I mean, it's a difficult question about responsibility of art, but I think I'm convinced, and personally, we are living in a world of global crises, as you explained, of artificial intelligence, war, and the world is going into another direction. It changes, and it somehow needs or requires an artistic. I saw an exhibition by this artist Erwin Wurm in Vienna, and there he's exhibiting pretzels, sausages, cucumbers in huge dimension made of marble. And I'm not really sure if this fits to the world right now we live in. I don't know, when I saw it, I don't know, it was totally strange, like cucumbers made of marble in a huge dimension. And I don't know, we're having this war in Ukraine and in Syria, Somalia, so should we do it?
Happy with this.
So I think that
there's a artist called
and
Ai Weiwei. He does that kind of gigantic objects made of marble, and he's a very famous artist. I don't know how come, but he is. So he wouldn't be happy with this comment of yours.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're talking about Ai Weiwei, he had an exhibition 2016 during the refugee crisis, and there's a building called Konzerthaus in Berlin, and it has columns in front of the building, and he was covering the columns with swimming vests as an installation and a symbol for this refugee crisis. No matter, so he's dealing with this topic, with a relevant topic, but in the end, it's always a question if it really relates to an artist, if he really means it like this, if it's more fashionable, en vogue, that you just do it because the art world wants it. I don't know. I personally like to deal with topics I'm connected to, like, if we're talking about the drones, there are military bases in Germany from the United States, where they got the information from the headquarters in Nevada, and they are flying the drones from German ground in the Middle East to kill possible terrorists. Yeah. So this is how I'm related to this topic, and it's about a moral question. If we should allow another country to fly those military operations for my country. And it's also a question, should I do an installation about war in Ukraine or in Syria as a European male white artist, or if it's more a thing of the artist from this region. Or maybe I just interpret things wrong and I don't know, I feel not very comfortable with it.
No, you
But
should
in
feel
the end,
comfortable
I'm sure.
because those male
Yeah,
artists, I may say black, since you mentioned male white artists from Europe, a black male artist from Middle East is not allowed to do that kind of criticizing artworks. So it's good that someone on earth is doing that and pointing or underlining that kind of facts. It is thrilling,
yeah,
seriously thrilling, those things that I just saw.
yeah. No, but in the end, I think it's I would finally say it's not about me that who wants to bring my own artworks into museums to get some fame or whatever. I think it's the responsibility of museums to take those topics and to show those topics, because they're really abstract. Many people doesn't even know about them, and the museums, it's their job to show it and to present it to the world. I think this is it's a necessity of that museums should do it. I don't know. Did it answer
Exactly.
your question?
Yes, exactly. You did. Thank you very much. Since we have a few minutes at the end of our interview, there is a question that is directly to my phone, not in the message box. I mean, I'm receiving questions to my phone. It's Prof. Şebnem Beşir, who is also the head of the editorial board of INDA Journal. She says, within the digitalized daily life in the previous years, the choices of technology, did it change the art, or if it did, in what ways, and did art learn new things from those changes of, I mean, inventions in the technology? Do you want me to repeat the question, or?
No, it's fine. Um,
Thank you, Prof.
yeah,
Şebnem,
I
for the
think
question.
that all new media art, of course, uh, changes the way how we work. And if there are coming new technologies, of course, we should think about how to use them and how to work them and to work with them. So definitely new technologies, of course, influence every kind of media art. And what was the second question? Can you?
Just a moment. It was in WhatsApp, so I'm sorry. It wasn't in the message box. The message box is also open. The second question: did those choices of technology, how did it change the art, and did art learn new things from those inventions in technology?
Yeah, I think that art always somehow learns from the changes in technology. As always, art somehow reflects the reality, and yeah, I think it's necessary that it changes the way how we work. So I think there's no way out of it.
Okay. She also apologizes for writing on WhatsApp. Prof. Şebnem, no, it's okay. I wasn't criticizing that you are texting me from WhatsApp. And okay, there are lots of questions, but those questions are answered during the presentation. And with this technological inventions, I think there are things that should be criticized. I mean, not should be accepted directly to the art. But this is also an orthodoxic way of thinking. But always there are some, how to say, objections to new technology in art, such as photography wasn't counted as an art when
Yes.
it was first invented, or like 50 years ago, cinema was not accepted as a branch of art, but now we call it as the seventh art, as a classical branch. And also there were lots of, installations, fluxus happening, lots of branches of co- um, mm, contemporary art, and they were not counted as art. But lots of museums such as MoMA, or big museums in Europe and United States, they also still have contemporary art, and consistently they accept artworks in their museums. So I think art has to learn from the new technology. It has to do that. I mean, it cannot remain in the classical way it was. So it would still remain as those carvings on the caves from the
Yeah.
medieval times, I think.
I think the problem of always of those new technologies is that that for a long time people struggling how to use it. If we think of 3D cinema in the beginning, it was more about the effect of wow, there's something coming out of the screen.
Yeah.
It's the same if we are thinking about three-dimensional sound. So it's in the beginning it's used just to show what you can do with it, and the fascination is so great that you just want to use it and to make as fascinating things as possible. But after a while, I think it's always like this, that people get more and more into it and try to find ideas how to use them in a smart and clever way. I think this is the most important thing. And I think this is also something in the media art scene, this struggling between where do you see yourself? Do you want to be more in an educational field? But if you, for example, create a tornado, then it's like you show people in a digital way how you do a tornado. But this is more science center. So it somehow has to find a path between giving information, but still being art, and to have many layers, like on the aesthetic side, on the informational side. So it's this is, I think, the biggest problems in using new technology, to find a way how to integrate it in a smart and clever way, to not only to use technology, but to use it in a good way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Mr. Korinsky, thank you very much for your time tonight. It's been a marvelous presentation and an interview. Thank you for your time
Thank
and
you.
your precious words.
I sent the link to this
Yeah.
website where you can type in the cities.
But this page could not be found. There is from Seren Rızaoğlu. She has texted. You also can see tonight. I mean, normally I do not let people text each other, but thanks Seren for sharing. This page could not be found. She says so. Let me also
Okay.
check it out.
I know it sometimes has problems too, but it should be found. I think sometimes it has problems to load. I don't know. It's based in Belgium, and I don't know. Just try out in 10 minutes. But this
Okay.
link for sure works at a specific point.
Okay. Thank you again, Mr. Korinsky, for your participation on our online interviews. We would like to see your works more often in Turkey, in other cities of our country,
Yes.
but mostly in Istanbul. Please keep on working in Istanbul. And those who have participated, next week on Tuesday at 8 o'clock, we will also have another new media artist, Eyal Gever. He is working on digital sculptures. He says that his palette is codes. So till then, thank you very much and have a good night. Goodbye.